Same time?
Oh, you want to sing?
Probably like row your boat or something.
Can we do it in a less?
They're trying to happy birthday someone. So we should be okay. That looks so weird. Okay.
Wait, let's do it in a not so public arena. Yeah.
Let's just go outside. Towards your bike.
Okay. Yeah, in the park. That'd be perfect.
Okay.
Oh, this is awesome. That was
That'd
so fun. I've never done that before, but it was more too.
Man. Yeah, that's whenever I see helium balloons, that's just what I know I need
Have
to do.
you ever seen the movie My Best Friend's Wedding?
Did they do that? Or
They
something?
sing, yeah.
I love your wedding, my best friend's wedding.
That was a good imitation. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. I was wondering what you were holding them for.
Yeah. I had a feeling that I should bring them.
Found them in the courtyard?
Uh-huh. They're just on the back of someone's chair. They were definitely from a couple days ago.
They were floating up?
Yeah, uh-huh. I was able to go to the
Damn.
bathroom and just not have to worry about them getting on the floor because they were hanging.
It looks like my car.
It is. There's so many cars that look like your car. Have you gotten any news?
Nope.
Dang, y'all.
I know. Surprising, right?
Yeah. I mean, would they contact your mom first? Who's the
Probably.
titles?
My
Name
mom.
and okay.
Plus he knows her. She cuts his hair,
Oh, really?
which is how she gets most of her connections.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
You could do a short story about that. Just all the connections.
My mom has a lot of connections because she cuts a lot of people's hair.
I wouldn't actually keep it so nonfiction.
Okay.
Make it a little bit cooler than that.
Okay.
Like she accidentally overhears some clientele talking about something, and then she realizes that she can aid them do something because of someone else that she knows, and then this big plan
There's a
gets
lot
hatched.
of in your stories. There's a lot of accidentally overhearing stuff.
That's what I do.
I know.
I'm an eavesdropper.
Me as well, but okay.
Are you going home?
No, I have to go to work.
Damn. At 12?
Yeah.
Oops. We're both late.
What time is it?
It's probably at 12:05.
Oh shit. Oh well. No. Why did my clothes get on so late?
I don't know. You guys.
It's 12:05. You're right. Okay. So what should we sing?
I was thinking something simple like row your boat or we wish you Merry Christmas.
Okay. Do you want to harmonize?
That'd be difficult. We can try that.
Because in My Best Friend's Wedding, they harmonize, and it was actually really pretty.
Yeah.
Sound
but
like
we don't have much
beautiful-
time.
True.
We can try. I'll try to harmonize.
Okay.
So we're gonna do I wish you Merry
Row,
Christmas.
row.
Oh. Okay.
Because it's easier.
You gotta take a big sip because I'm gonna do this correctly the first
Did you
time.
record it?
It's recording.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
What?
Ready?
Okay, wait.
One more attempt?
Hold on. It's being very unstable. Oh, it's still high.
It's still pretty high.
For me, I can't tell because I sound the same to myself.
You need to just pull it so the mouth.
Okay, I'm gonna take a huge one.
Okay, you should.
One, two, three, four. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Nice.
Classic.
I still high?
You're still high. You're laughing so much because you're high.
High on helium. Hold on.
There's not enough. Maybe for you. My voice is returning back to its normal baritone.
No, that was not enough.
No, it's baritinge. Today is December 1st. We woke up this morning in Sewanee, repeating the phrase rabbit, 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 rabbit over and over again for our annual dose of good December luck. And now we're in Inman Park. It's approximately 1:15 in the PM. We're walking through the second portion of Inman Park that connects Edgewood to Irwin. And I have just recently taken some mycelium, somewhere around...
How many grams?
It was about 3 grams, dried. And I have no way to affirm whether or not it was actually 3 grams, but our friend Robert said that it was, and he said maybe a little more, so maybe I'm actually in for something that I'm not even intending for. But I think I can't get past that anyway, because I have no idea what's in store for me. But we're walking, and hopefully that'll be a nice way to come up, as they say, coming up. And this morning I didn't have any food. I've had 1 banana, 1 cup of coffee, 16 ounces of water with some supplementary sips. It's a nice alliteration. And Erica, you have anything to say?
Good luck.
Anything a little bit more?
No.
Are you embarrassed?
I'm excited, by the way. I will be moderating this, sort of.
Yeah, you're the babysitter. Huh?
Pause it.
You hit the record button again.
Okay. You're still going?
I'm still going.
Okay.
The autumn leaves have fallen. It's such a beautiful yet destructive scene.
More later. I don't think I want to read about some battle.
Okay, so right now, what is the most vivid thing you can pick out?
Well, I was just looking at the hill over here, and I was actually being able to catch the glinting of the sunlight reflecting off the dead leaves that are on the ground, and it kind of looked like there were small pieces of glass. But I think that that's probably psychosomatically imposed because it's only been 10 minutes.
Maybe don't look for them so much as just let them happen.
Ooh, how deep. How long have you studied Taoism?
For centuries, sir. Centuries. I can't even begin to touch on how...
Well, let me interrupt you and just say that I feel like my normal self. Astoundingly normal. 98% normal.
13:21 hours. Pupils completely undilated.
Nice. In my head, in my chest.
14:44.
We're talking about chest pop rocks.
Explain yourself.
Well, this again might be psychosomatically induced. However, with the preceding minutes as they evaporate, I think it'll be more and more sure whether or not it's psychosomatic or not. But how would you punctuate that sentence? Jeez. Anyway, see, that's why I can't punctuate. Anyway.
Still not punctuating.
I was taking a left, and Erica didn't know which way to go, so she was going not left.
Following you.
Yeah, and so I had this weird sensation in my chest. I felt like one single pop rock kind of popped, or maybe a bubble would be a better explanation, but not so much a physical bubble. There was no pain. It wasn't uncomfortable. It just felt like... What, that hat? That's funny. I'm surprised that created such a reaction. It's not even something alive for you.
I know, it's just so funny. I don't know. Just saw a lion statue.
Please do make a note. Lion statue with a hat on
Wearing a wool hat.
that someone had placed there.
And we're out. 15:31.
Looking at the sky.
14:28.
Oh, that girl's good.
Look at her. She's like, I got this, bitches.
I think she is good.
She got off voluntarily. I was thrown off because I'm klutz.
I'm bored. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I don't really need that right.
She does have a lower center of gravity.
It's true. But she knows how to use it.
Let's not talk about this.
That's just normal alarm everywhere.
What do you see?
Nothing unless I focus. It all comes together and flattens out, even though all this mulch is really tumultuous.
When children fall, they laugh. When people fall, they cry. Why?
I laugh when I
Is
fall.
that some stupid bumper sticker?
No, it's made it up. That's what I was...
All right. It is 10:08 p.m. on a Sunday night, January 27th, 2013. And it's been a long time since I've even ventured to record anything. But right now, I'm riding my bike, over to Erica's house in Juniper. And I feel like I have a lot of stuff going on in my head, and I was just feeling like it would be a good time to pull over and talk a little bit about all that's happened and all that's changed. And I don't even remember the last thing that I recorded. It was probably sometime, I guess maybe after quitting Whole Foods, but maybe not even before. Since I can last remember recording, which would have been going to Washington, D.C. I've gone back to school, finished my first semester of my senior year, and have just begun my second semester of my senior year, and this is going to be my third week of class coming up tomorrow. And so much has changed since I can last remember recording that I don't even really know where to start to collect it all. But suffice it to say, it seems like in life it's very much so analogous to sine waves. It's you go through periods where you can be intensely reflective and very deep and analytical about yourself, and I think that that's sort of a passive part of life where you can kind of be more retroactive than proactive, and you can take time to kind of reflect, in earnest. And I've been in a more proactive part of my life for the past 6 or so months, and haven't really felt the need to record anything. I've been more in the moment, more proactive. So, you have the crest and the trough of the sine wave, and both of those can be thought of as passive and active for this metaphor. And it's just similar to, I don't know, the different phases that make up life. I think you can get too stuck in one phase and it will become pretty monotonous and meaningless because it'll just be routine. And the Tao talks about how, ritual is the lowest form of spirituality. And so if speaking and everything is becoming ritualistic and just something that's done because it has to be done, then it's no longer meaningful and should be put aside. But I went and saw my friend Josh today, Josh Schleiner, and he was talking to me about how he really wants to get into radio. And I think that kind of planted a little bit of a seed in my head that, podcasting used to be a big part of my life from the time that I was in Japan and then spilling back over to when I came back to America. I was pretty vigilant about it, and I still have a few episodes that I haven't even released yet, which I should really sit down and edit and get out there. And maybe now this clip will help me with sort of an impetus to do that. I'm starting now recording on track 9, and I don't really know what the preceding tracks are on my recorder that I recorded before this one, and so it'll be interesting too to go back and just listen to what maybe failed attempts I might have had in the recent past to maybe start Molt back up again. But I guess the reflective period is coming back around. I think my cycle might be about 6 months or so. I guess coinciding with the different times of the year. Today, actually, as fate would have it, is the day that I came back from Japan to the United States, which that's kind of fortuitous if I think about it. That's kind of bizarre. And I recently deleted my Facebook, I guess back in December. Got rid of that after listening to an NPR interview featuring some great, violinist virtuoso who was an amazing player and had an equally amazing life outside of his instrument. He was very idealistic and was talking about how he had never had a smartphone and never had I don't know if he had any PCs or anything, but he was very disconnected to the web and everything. And I know that for me, it was a simultaneous dread and exhilaration, I guess, to get onto Facebook a couple times a day and check to see if there were new messages or new comments or anything like that. And it was causing a little bit of anxiety because I felt like there was sort of a queue, and I had to address things as they came to be timely. It's sort of kind of like email, except I very rarely get emails that are truly important. I mean, I get a lot of family emails. Mostly it's all spam and junk. And any other types of emails that are important, I'm usually aware of the time frame when they should arrive, and I don't really think about email outside of that. So with that stuff in mind, I got rid of my Facebook and have not really looked back. However, if I think about my friends that I made in Japan and the connections that I had formed there, I am kind of sad that Facebook is no longer a quick extension to get back in touch with those people. Although I still have email addresses, and truth be told, I mean, there's probably only a handful of people that I really would want to stay in touch with. Ellie, Maxime, probably Kosuke, a few others, Hodolfu. But that's kind of sad. I should try to get their email addresses so that I can more easily stay in touch, especially with Ellie. I'd say probably Ellie is number one on that list. So that's gone, and that's a change. And now here, thinking about Japan, realizing the bulk of that change. I know that when I was recording back when I was in the United States a year ago, getting back today, I broke up a long-term relationship with Brittany that had been going on for 3 years, and thought that I would be single for a long time from that moment. Had intended on being single for at least 3 years. 1 year for me to finish my senior year of college, and then 2 years that I was planning on spending in the Peace Corps. And that's another thing that's still moving on along. And that's my plan after I get out of college, to go into the Peace Corps, go back out into a strange part of the world and learn about another group of people and their language and their customs and their foods and everything that they have to offer. But now I have a new girlfriend, Erica, my old roommate. I also have a new house, which is kind of part and parcel of this whole development in my life. Erica was my roommate at the apartment that I was living at in Midtown Atlanta, and I think she just texted me. And we started spending time together shortly before I moved out of that apartment and into the house that my parents bought back in October, I think, where my sister and I now live and have been living for the time from October to now. We live there instead of dorms, and my parents basically provide everything that we could need, which is very nice, and we're very appreciative of that. Most of my friends are in wildly different circumstances and definitely don't have the same kind of luxuries that my sister and I have, so I try to be as appreciative as possible, as responsible with them as possible, kind of cherish them and, nourish them, and not try to be too boastful or gloating when I talk to them, my friends, that is. Because my experience has been one of very little difficulty and struggle, which is why I like to put myself, I think, in positions where I can experience a voluntary and somewhat artificial struggle. So anyway, Erica and I have been dating, back to that thread before it gets too loosed. And that's been a really good relationship. I have to say, the moment Brittany and I broke up, I definitely never looked back, and, never wanted to rekindle that, never thought twice about the decision. I was pretty much firm in my stance that was the right decision by the time that I got back to my parents' home in Lilburn, where we live, from her university, which is about 2 hours away. And already, Erica and I have been dating since late September. So I was single from about mid-February to late September. So, a good little stint of time where I didn't have anyone in my life romantically, and just looked after myself when it came to that, which was pretty easy to do. I have my bike, which in Japan I refer to as my other girlfriend, and definitely not exaggeratedly so. But Erica and I get along really, really well. She's extremely intelligent. She's very thoughtful. She's very sweet. She's very creative, very talented. Emotionally, our connection just kind of hit off immediately. Even when we just lived together, I always kind of sympathized with her and saw her side of things when things would happen. And, there's sort of that sixth sense that I think is really important in people who are romantic with each other. Just that kind of empathy for another person without having to really be explained a situation that they're in. It's just almost as if you know them, like your souls are imprints on each other's soul, and so it's almost like you can imagine the steps they took up into this moment and the steps they'll take beyond this moment. And so that's the kind of the resonance I have with Erica. And our relationship started with us, I guess, traveling around Atlanta with her sitting on my back seat of my bike. It was back when the warm months were still around here in Atlanta. And so we would go somewhere, anywhere in the city, on some sort of adventure, and she would just sit atop my seat and I would stand pedaling the entire time. It was like one of those, I think it's called like a tuk-tuk or tuk-tuk or dirt or something like that. One of those like bicycle things in some of the more impoverished countries of Asia that you'll see, I guess, some patron riding on the back of a bicycle while some person labors strenuously to get them to where they want to be. And that to me was pretty special, because not only did I already have this intense connection with Erica just on a, outright level without having to do anything, but the fact that she was willing to come with me when I would be on my bike and spend, hours every day looking for things like, art mural locations around Atlanta, or abandoned buildings, or cool festivals that we heard about, or bars that we went to. That's special because that's a huge part of my life. I think per Malcolm Gladwell's maxim about the 10,000 hour being the translatable sequence of time needed to become like a pro at something. And I've probably definitely spent 10,000 hours on my bicycle, easily. And so though I may not be a pro, it's my most enjoyed hobby. It's what I do the most. It's so much a part of me that I don't even recognize how deep it goes, I think. I'm looking at my bicycle now, and it's just an extension of myself. We need each other. Without me, it doesn't do anything. Without it, I would be severely diminished. And so Erica was able to, early on in our relationship, share that with me, and really, really enjoyed that. And we spent a lot of time drinking on all those adventures, which I think helped get us closer quicker. Although I think we both did already like each other to a healthy degree before that. I remember our first kiss, which was a really fun kiss. We went to this Turkish restaurant called Cafe Istanbul that my sister's been going to for a number of years, and I had never gone. And went there once with my sister, shortly before Erica and I went there, and tried hookah for the first time, which was a little bit of an introduction into the world of tobacco, which I stayed perhaps a foot in too long, but have thankfully removed my feet from that pool since. Tried hookah, was amazed at the intoxicating qualities of tobacco, and insisted that Erica and I needed to go there because she had never been either. And they had delicious food, so Erica and I went, and I ferried her there. We call it ferrying, and got our seat. Eventually, it was pretty crowded. It was like a Saturday night, about 9 o'clock or so, and we ordered a hookah pipe, and I think we were trying to get it lit, the tobacco, and trying to get smoke or something, and so we started just trying to blow smoke into each other's mouths, and ended up kissing, and that was a really good first kiss. That was fun. And then after that barrier was broken, we kissed a lot for the rest of that night. And from that moment, I think things were a little bit more solid. That's when things definitely took a more romantic turn, and it wasn't merely just two people hanging out. Although I'm really thankful for that period of time where we did just hang out, and also that preceding time when we were just friends. During the 6 months or so 6 or 8 months that I lived in the apartment with her non-romantically, I'd say that was probably the most important thing, and it's made me realize how important that is in a relationship, just to have that level of friendship and, the ability to make fun of each other, to kind of be able to dismiss each other. I know when I was dating Brittany, we never had a friendship component to our relationship before we started dating. It was just sort of straight into a romance, and so I never really experienced what it was like to put her down or make fun of her or play around in a non romantic way. So that was that was missing in the relationship, and it's like a necessary dynamic that I think makes it fuller and richer. And me, I like to definitely have relationships that are more or less boundless, and with Brittany I just felt a lot of restrictions. I felt like I could really hurt her. I had the potential to, and never actually did, but just felt like I was kind of carrying glass across like an uneven surface, and I might drop it or something, which may or may not be true. And like I said, I never pushed those boundaries, but I felt that way, and it caused a lot of stress and anxiety. And so I know no matter how far Erica and I go, and whatever sort of trials and tribulations we may have in the future, especially with me going into the Peace Corps and what the future of our relationship may be, per that inevitability, I'm very thankful that we started this relationship in a much different fashion than the previous one I'd had. And she too had come from one relationship that was really, really awful, and I'd never really gotten the full story about her first and only relationship before the two of us. But I've gotten enough information about it to be sure that it was very, very bad. And so I'm glad to be with her to kind of heal that part of her, I think, and show her other good parts of the relationship experience that can go along with being with another person. Although I do find myself still needing to grow as a partner daily. I think it's something that I think about a lot. Just the necessity to be more kind, more loving, more accepting, more patient. All the things that the Bible defines as love, which I still think is probably the best definition. That thing, the love is kindness, love is whatever, I don't know. Whoever says that in the Bible. It's a good definition of love. And so I'm trying to still work towards that, because Erica deserves that, given her past and given how great she is and how little she is appreciated by her mother, which is another section of our relationship which is very interesting. Her family dynamic, which is I think just not really given her a very bright outlook for human relationships in general. I mean, she's no misanthrope or anti-socialite or anything like that, but I mean, your relationship with your mother is pretty pivotal. I mean, I'd say like 50% of Western psychology hinges upon, if not all of Western psychology, in one way or another, hinges upon your relationship with your primary caregiver when you're a child. And Erica, I'm just sure it was pretty rough back then. And so that's a little slice of that. And the Peace Corps is still definitely moving along. It's winter now. It was winter when I returned, and I remember the coldest months after I got back from Japan, which hopefully won't be coming this year. I have to say, in a very selfish and stupid way, that global warming, at least for my localized climate, is something that I welcome very, very readily, although not in a real sense, but I just wish it was warmer right now. I really don't like the cold, and I'm still wearing shorts daily, so it's not something that I shy away from. I don't bike any less or go outside any less, although maybe slightly less. I still spend a great deal of time outside. It's just, my enjoyment of that time outside is not as full as it has been when the months are warmer. And so, I'm having to switch my hands as I'm recording because my fingers are getting cold. And I'm wearing layered clothing, which I don't really like. And my feet are kind of cold, my nose, my ears. And not much can be done, just gotta wait. I'm about to go head the rest of the way to Juniper on the Beltline Trail, which so it's something I've been taking for, I guess, a couple weeks now. At night when I go back to see Erica, I usually spend every other night with her. That's sort of a new implementation. The Beltline is just it's a little surreal. It's usually pitch black. I don't tend to meet anyone while I'm on it. It's pretty flat. Going to Erica's house from my house in Grant Park, it's all downhill. So, I can cruise for about 2.5 miles at more or less 20 miles an hour pretty comfortably without having to do too much work. And so that's in my near future. I'll probably be wrapping up this clip pretty soon. A little rusty. Haven't recorded for a real long time, although this is a pretty comfortable stint. It'll probably end up being about 25 minutes or so, which is a good little return. And I think when I get over to Juniper, I probably will work on those old podcasts. I remember the reason I stopped working on them so adamantly is because my computer started messing up. And I have since gotten a new computer, but the time between me buying a new computer and me being computerless, that time passed with enough duration for me to kind of fall out of podcasting. And I think I just kind of moved on to doing more, like I said, proactive things, just living in the moment and not being so reflective about what I have been doing, rather just doing and doing. And that's pretty much that. Before I left my house tonight, I was pretty comfy, sitting on the couch. Erica's introduced me to the wonderful world of having a hot water maker, I guess, for tea and coffee and things like that. You put that in between your legs or other parts of your body that are really vulnerable to the cold and just allow it to warm you up, and it's really, really comfortable. And so I watched 3 episodes of this show called Stephen Fry in America. I've been watching a lot of TV. Netflix has kind of taken over a large portion of my free time, which is not bad. As a side note, I must say that when I was single, I was spending a lot of time watching documentaries and lectures and things like that, and trying to fill my mind with a bunch of things. And as with the sine wave, the crest and the trough, proactive and passive, there's a point where that kind of acquisition of that material just gets really dull and boring, and I just need a good laugh. And so I've been watching a lot of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, 30 Rock, watched Breaking Bad, another show, Walking Dead. Those shows aren't very funny, but definitely entertaining. Those last 2 anyway. So kind of switched my gears a little bit. It's been more relaxing, less stress, less feeling of needing to do something amazing or great or productive or anything like that. More content with just being. And I think I can attribute a lot of that to Erica. But tonight, as I sat on the couch with that water heater between my legs, drank a considerable amount of water and watched 3 hour-long episodes of Stephen Fry in America. It was basically just a show of Stephen Fry going to all the states in the United States and just kind of doing one little blurb about something that state is famous for, like, Boston, Massachusetts he went to where the Tea Party had been held. Vermont, he went to Ben & Jerry's ice cream making place, things like that. And so I just indulged myself in that and relaxed, stretched my back. So I'd like to do some more later. Lauren has her, her boyfriend over, Johnson, who she has dated before in the past a few times, and they're back together again in a new stage and phase of their relationship. And I like to kind of give them some space when he comes around. It makes me feel a little awkward to be there. So I tend to get out somewhat quickly when they're together. Although tonight I just kind of relaxed and didn't get out too quickly. Watched in a few hour-long episodes. Just found a funny sticker. I'd like to give it to Erica, but I cut my fingernails recently. And I don't have enough nail to grab. I'll have to leave it. Have to sacrifice. Well, it's getting colder, I think. Getting a little bit breezy. I think I'm gonna head on. It's nice to speak again. Hopefully this isn't an isolated event. As time goes on, I definitely have enough time. Obviously, even on the TV I've been watching, I could definitely be recording a few more clips. Probably make a show a week or so. And I guess it's a reasonable update. I'll try to do this again soon and definitely work on those shows that have been kind of just sitting on the back burner for a little while tonight. So I shall talk to you later, and hopefully it'll be no longer than a week before I pull this thing back out, this little recorder of mine, and do a little diddle. I will talk to you later. Bye.
They'll keep going until all the cells are in one monolayer. What's mono? Single layer, single monolayer, right? And they're touching on all sides. Once they're touching, they stop dividing. And then if you disrupt the contact, what starts again? Division in that area where they've lost contact. Does that make sense? So I'm going to let you know this now. When we study the cell and the membrane is not a simple structure. Cells can communicate with each other. Is that clear? We'll learn how across the membrane. Now, the bottom line is, the first example of any regulatory mechanism, now I'm going to throw this out on the test, was garnished from this information so that when cells come in contact with other cells, mitosis is inhibited. That's why it's called what on the test? Contact inhibition. So the most basic, simple level they were able to demonstrate before they started throwing chemicals and doing anything, you know what I'm saying? Was that cells at the membranes must communicate. Because they can demonstrate that when cells come in contact with other cells, it obviates, slows, whatever, that division process. Is this clear? So it's called what? Contact inhibition. Now this isn't the only mechanism, guys. There are a lot of complicating factors such as the genetics of the cell, and it also the nature of the extracellular environment. That is, the hormones, the chemicals that your body's using to regulate cell division. It also, your body regulates things. For example, let's talk about this. Oh, who do I want to choose? How do I want to do this? Oh, I guess poor Lance, he's been vilified, but you're hearing all this information about Lance Armstrong. Isn't that true? Isn't that correct? Yeah. Fine. What's he accused of? Doping. Fine. Does anybody really know what he's accused of? What is he accused of using? Not steroids. See, that's what I mean. Poor guy? No. Not HGH, not human growth hormone. Come on, guys. Guys, he's a cyclist. He's not a weightlifter. Listen to me. Let's think about this. Listen. If I go up to Denver to run a race, but I've trained at sea level, am I ready? Why? Because the air is thinner. Isn't that true? There's less oxygen. Now, if I stay up there, 2, 3, 4 weeks and I train, I'm okay, aren't I? What happened? What the hell went on? You just said I wasn't good, now I'm good. 3 damn weeks later. Something's got to happen. So what you're going to learn is your kidneys get a lot of the cardiac output. When your heart beats, 20% of that blood goes to the kidneys. So the kidneys monitor oxygen. They're one of the monitoring stations. And they put out a chemical called erythropoietin. It's abbreviated EPO. That's what they've been naming, EPO, which we can now make artificially through genetic engineering. We can make all the human growth hormone, all the EPO, it's erythropoietin. When we go up into that thin air, the EPO goes what? Up. So our blood gets thicker, we make more red blood cells, which carry oxygen. Now we're ready. It's homeostasis. We come back to sea level. Instead of having high EPO, it goes what? Down, so our blood rethins. Does everyone get that? Now, I'm a cyclist. What they used to do, and this is back, 60s, 70s, they didn't have all this fancy engineering. So what they called blood doping was a cyclist could take his own blood, take it out, take a pint, put it in the freezer. When it got time, a day before his competition, what did he redo? He put it back in. He got a blood transfusion to boost his ability. That's blood doping. Now, we don't have to use our own blood. All we got to do is take an injection of what? EPO. And that's what he did. And that's why he had an advantage competitively going through the Alps. And why he won the Tour de France. Is that clear? Well, no steroids, no growth hormone. It was EPO. Is this understood? You just have to contour it to what you're doing in the sport. Okay?